Welcome back already. We've time now for our second Chinese best of 3 for today. LD's been replaced by a Red Bull can. He's going to be my co-caster for today. That's all we got. Now, LD will be hopping on a bit later today, guys. But right now, we've got game one of Newbee versus EHOME. We're going to hop right into things. Draft underway. Winner of this series will meet Vici Gaming in that winner bracket final. Looking to get a trip to Los Angeles to compete in the Summit 4. We've had 3 editions so far. Everything keeps getting bigger and better. I'm excited. We've got a lot of cool stuff happening at the Summit 4. Just have to take my word for it. We're not going to spoil or leak anything just yet. But right now, Game 1 draft underway. Loser will be getting locked down to the lower bracket. Not out of the tournament just yet, but we'll see how things unravel here. Newbee opening things up with a Shaker Lina. We're talking a bit with Lyrical last game about how Shaker definitely seems to have fallen off. No longer as much of a top pick as he once was, but Newbee seemed to put a lot of stock in him. A great synergy with the Lina, and this is where Shaker was very popular in 6.84. The Shaker Lina, you roam in, hit a fissure, you set up the Lina combo, and it's just a duo that will dominate majority of mid laners, be it a Shadow Fiend, a Queen of Pain, even heroes like a Templar Assassin. If you time it when the refraction's down, the TA's in trouble, so we'll see how these two work together. Not to mention, I feel like the Lina pick is something that can be flexible. If they really feel like the Lina is not going to work as a core, they can always decide to play it in a support role. We can see here, the two teams feel dead even as far as coming into this one. I feel Newbee have maybe looked like they're in slightly better form. They had an easier road through the winner bracket, 2-0ing their series. They also did have the easier opponent versus the... Wait, who did Newbee verse? Newbee versus IG, I believe, was it? Yeah, Newbee beat IG. That was actually a 2-1, and EHOME beat Tongfu, but were not convincing against Tongfu. That was a series where I feel like Tongfu put up a much bigger fight than I expected, so... We're here now, Newbee versus EHOME, winner will versus Vici Gaming, as said, and I feel like all in all, Newbee has just been a more dominant team in their matches. They also beat IG in the Frankfurt Majors qualifiers in the Grand Finals 2-0, so very much a team who I feel like has just been playing really well, not just the results, but the play itself speaks for itself. With how well Mu and Hao are working together, Chizbug just seems like a support on a mission to just win some championships after being benched for so long. He was off the grid for like a year or two, just on the IG bench, didn't ever get to play, only actually got to step in when Chuan wasn't allowed to play during WCG because it's a national tournament, so you've got to have an all-Chinese roster, and Chuan being Malaysian couldn't play for IG. So he has been just like right on the outside and not been on one of those top tier 1 teams, but now he's back on Newbee, competing with the likes of Mu, Hao, Banana, TI4 champions, and then Tule, a very underrated offlaner. He's really seemed to be coming into his own in the offlane, and I feel like this team is the real deal moving forward. So excited to see more of Newbee and what they have in store. They're going to be going up against EHOME. Lan, the captain and drafter for this team, a player very experienced, and you've got to be experienced when you've got youngsters like cdec.y and Old Chicken on your team. You've got to keep them in check, make sure they don't go too YOLO, which is something cdec.y has been known to do from time to time. So Lan so far drafting up a Spirit Breaker and Undying here in game number 1. Looking to get very tanky kind of frontliners, heroes that can contest the lanes, apply a lot of pressure in the case of the Spirit Breaker as far as roaming around. The Undying, it's apply a lot of pressure in whichever lane where you want to send him. I feel like Undying is good at kind of fitting in 2 roles also. If you want to run him in the safe lane as a support, he's also pretty damn good at zoning out offliners because of the decay, giving him the ability to steal their strength, give yourself some more bonus damage, and really push heroes out of that offlane. So I like the Undying pick for that reason. The Spirit Breaker seems to be something that's just overall trending in the Chinese scene. It is a top pick there, although I'm not sure it's going to stay that way. I feel like the Western teams going into some of these international lands, be it Nanyang in Singapore or the Frankfurt Major, will be like, you guys take your Spirit Breaker. We're pretty confident that the hero may not be as good as it seems. So something which, just from an observer perspective, I feel like they may be putting too much stock in. But we'll have to wait and see. Right now, second pick stage coming out. Batrider and Gyrocopter were banned out by EHOME. Newbee banning out the Alchemist as well as Ember Spirit. And, well, hello, Io. Possible Io Tiny, very likely Io Tiny when you're in that 3rd and 4th pick slot. Newbee picking up the Queen of Pain as their 3rd pick, something which could be a mid laner for Mu or potentially an offlaner. I feel like when you see the Io and you're expecting an Io Tiny, no longer do you want to send Lina mid. Lina will get crushed by an Io Tiny, even with help from an Earthshaker there. So You can maybe save the Lena's life once or twice with a fissure, but eventually there'll be that one time where Shaker's off either stacking the jungle or just helping another lane where Lena will go down. And you fissure, you're never turning things around. Very unlikely that IO Tiny are going to engage in a position where, oh, they get fissured, they die. It's very much going to be like, oh, okay, there's a fissure, we don't get the kill, but we just go back to farming. So Newbee going to have to reconsider who they send to the mid lane. Queen of Pain may be a more likely candidate. If they really want, they can run support Lena, put Queen of Pain either in the safe lane or the off lane, and pick up something like this. This is what I was just about to mention. The Bristleback, one of the kind of top picks as far as versing an IO Tiny at mid. I liked what we saw yesterday, I believe. I think it was, who was it? Was it Vici Gaming? One of the teams. It might have even been IG. I think it was IG who we saw do this. IG, when they went for the IO Tiny and their opponents picked Bristleback, said, screw it. Let's just run the IO Tiny in the safe lane. And in this case, EHOME won't even pick up the Tiny for one thing. And they picked a Viper. Viper can crush Bristleback even in the mid lane. So I don't think you want Bristle mid anymore. If anything, EHOME want to be expecting Bristle to go offlane now. For Newbee, you want to ban out the Tiny, run Bristle offlane, put the Queen of Pain back mid against Viper. I guess it's still like not a friendly matchup. Actually, they're going to leave Tiny in the pool, banning out Wind Ranger. So now Newbee going to have to reveal what they want to do. If IO Tiny comes out, they want the Bristle to be up against it. They do not want this Bristle versus Viper matchup. That to me is probably one of the worst case scenarios for them. We'll see what the last pick is going to be. Really depends on how they want to play and run this Lena. Whether it's going to be... same for a lot of these heroes. Bristle can even safe lane. Maybe this is a game where you run a safe lane Hal Bristleback. It's the kind of hero that suits his style. Can be very tanky, can play aggressive, go diving in, looking for kills. Put the Quap in the mid lane or the off lane. Pick up an off laner as your last pick. Run Shaker on the off lane. Newbee have a lot of heroes with versatile positions. All 4 of their heroes, in fact, can go in at least 2 different roles. Some of them even more. So, Newbee's last pick can go many different ways. Lich gets last pick, so giving them some assurance as far as the lanes go. We see a Lich +1, probably like an offlane duo here. Lich Bristleback quite likely. Even a Lich Queen of Pain if they want to run Bristle in the safe lane. If they're confident Viper will be mid, I think you still send Lena there, since Lena's a core hero. Either Lena or Quap. Both do okay against the Viper. They're not going to win the lane by any means, but they can at least get some farm. Lena a bit better because Dragon Slave is that ranged nuke to last hit with. Queen of Pain, I'd say slightly worse against Viper than the Lena. And last pick now coming out for EHOME. What are they going to go for? 5th pick coming up. Very much looks like a core hero that they'd be picking up. And Leshrac is going to be their go-to. This feels like 6.84. You've got Lena, you've got Leshrac, you've got Queen of Pain. You've got Undying. Are we in 6.85, guys? What the hell is going on here? What is this? cdec.y, safe lane Leshrac, perhaps. Old Chicken picks up the Viper. Going to be How on the Queen of Pain, signaling that it should likely be a safe lane Queen of Pain with like a Lich Bristleback off lane. Lena going mid. Talked about how Lena was probably the most likely to go mid against Viper since it is the most favorable matchup for a Lena. And EHOME will be running that. Just support IO. No obvious IO partner this game. Just going to be used as more of a defensive hero to heal. Get like that nice heal off with the mech Viper. Mech early on a Viper. You can get a double mech on somebody as well. Whoever you're tethered to can get the double effect of it. So it's really good for keeping teammates alive and having long drawn-out fights, which is something where Bristle kind of wants to have those long drawn-out fights as well. Stack up a ton of quills, but the heals and the sustain from the EHOME side, very strong here. Not only just the IO, the mech, you've got Undying with Soul Rip as well. What the hell is this frickin' Bristle set? What is this hat? Hat of the Night Watch. This looks like... This hat looks absurd. This is the Australian Outback hat for the Bristleback. I feel like I'm watching Fury Road here or something, you know. Got a little farmer's hat going. I don't know what it is, but enough about that. EHOME on the Radiant side, going to be running 11 on the offlane Undying. I can only imagine his Tusk was banned out. One of the best Tusk players in China. Old Chicken going to be going mid on the Viper. Kaka going to be handling the Wisp or IO. Lanham going to be playing Spirit Breaker, and it leaves cdec.y on the core Leshrac in the safe lane for Team EHOME. On the Dire side, Moo. Mid lane, Lena going to be the name of the game for him. Too late. Going to be handling the Bristleback. CH, Chizbug on the Lich. Banana on the Earthshaker. And that leaves Queen of Pain. Going to be played by Hao in the safe lane. Looking for that early null build. I really like this build. This is something... When it first happened, it kind of looks newbie. It's like, oh, you're going to lane with a recipe, yada yada. But you can complete the null talisman from the side shop, and it is one of the better... If you go for the mantle, you can't actually complete your null talisman, and then you want to have the double regen and null talisman. If you go null talisman first item, you can't get Tango and Salve. So this means he has 2 sets of regen, and he can complete a null talisman from the side lane. So a very strong starting item build. Very small thing, but something that I like to talk about just because it does make a big difference. Having a null talisman versus having a circlet plus mantle is what, 5 extra damage or something coming out from null talisman compared to the alternative build, or 4 extra damage. Not to mention the extra stats you get. So I like the decision from how to go for this. He's going to be up against an IO Undying lane. Does have Banana up here on the Shaker. Likely to see some early pulls start happening, and yeah, he'll go straight into that. So dual lanes from Newbee, and it looks like dual lanes from EHOME as well. Both teams running a 2-1-2 setup. Both teams having their safe lane support do some early pulls. And it is Newbee with the Lich in the offlane who should be able to get at least a slight laning stage advantage out of this. An early harass coming out from cdec.y. Keep an eye in the mid lane. Kind of talked about this one being a maybe more even matchup than other opponents for the Viper. The Lina with that good ranged harass, the Dragon Slave to help last hit. And especially early levels before Corrosive is leveled up, Lina should be able to hold her own pretty well here. The Newbee swoop their way in, and we'll be looking to contest this pull camp. Too late, taking the last hit on the Ogre. And top lane, the double pull from Banana was successful. He wants this Satyr. He'll get it. It's a nice little bounty going his way as well. Some decent experience, which was leaked by Banana. So I mean, by Kaka. Kaka will be getting a fast level 2 himself. And speaking of level 2, Too late, not quite there. Does not have the Bristleback just yet. He's been stunned up once. Another slow coming out. Whoa. Where is Merlini when you need him? Somebody call the commissioner. This pause coming at a interesting little time here. It looks like Lich lagging out, possibly with some DC problems. He's sitting right next to the Bristle, who unfortunately, as said, is still level 1. cdec.y, I was about to say out of mana for another spell, but he's got 7 wand charges, so he can boost himself back up if he needs to. We'll have mana for 1 more spell. Lanham has mana for a charge if he pops his Mango, so we are likely going to see a First Blood onto the Bristleback. Depends how much regen he can get out of this salve. He can look to use this salve soon. Oh, I got my own little panel? Whoa. I feel so lonely. I mean, I still got my Red Bull. Hey, Red Bull, you got any input on this game, dude? He's just... The Red Bull's just sad that only 1 hero with wings was... How many heroes with wings have we got? We got Viper. I guess Queen of Pain has wings. Yeah, we got some winged heroes, Red Bull. Tell me about the Queen of Pain versus Viper. Which hero flies higher? I guess, yeah, Lina floats but doesn't have wings, so... We've got 2 winged heroes, 1 on either side, so... I'm sure Mr. Red Bull here would probably say whichever team has more winged heroes would have the advantage this game, but we're at 1 apiece, so... We'll see how things go here. Viper, as mentioned, decent, pretty even matchup against the Lina. This offlane, though, is the interesting lane to keep an eye on, and I was not expecting it to look like this for EHOME. Spirit Breaker and Leshrac about to be in a position to secure a First Blood. Too late survives this if he can get decent salve regen. It really kind of depends on how well he can time it. If he can get it off between right clicks, so he gets at least like 100, 150 HP out of this, then he can probably live. He's got a Tango regen for now. He may even want to try and run to this tree to get another Tango off, but it will be hard for him to survive. A charge into a Split Earth or a Lightning Storm could cause him problems. So yeah, with the 7 sick charges, what's a decent chunk of mana will be coming out. Yeah, what? My math is bad. That's over 100 mana. Over 100 mana. 105. There we go. I said, where's Ben Wu when you need him? Not just for the pauses, but also for the math. Ben, former accounting, well, worked in a bank, whatever. So he's good with numbers. Not making an Asian joke, guys, or a stereotype. He's actually good with math. Anyways, here we go. It looks like both teams ready to go. They're saying, please let me live. I'm not sure what the 2 teams have been theory crafting about this current situation. Maybe they'll let one another go on their merry ways, but If I'm EHOME, I'm saying, let's go. What are they saying, Roland? Flaming? Good. We need more flaming in Chinese Dota. It's too civil. We need to go full NA Dota. Here we go. cdec.y actually comes to Nova. Is this going to go the other way? cdec.y, that quill spray doesn't actually hit him. He's still got the salve and stick charges. He chose not to use his stick charges, so that went no way near as dramatically as I expected it to. It looks like no mango use for the charge and no stick usage for the extra spell. Well then, that was anticlimactic. So too late, back in the lane, full HP now. Does hit level 2, which gives him a bit more in the way of defensive capabilities against this Spirit Breaker Leshrac lane. Not really a... I say Spirit Breaker Leshrac lane like it's a scary duo or something, but it's not really something that should cause a Bristleback too many problems. Early Poor Man's Shield picked up. Just looking to be able to block some of that constant harass coming out in this lane. And here we go. First big movement of the game. It looks like Banana on the Shaker has left the Queen of Pain alone at top. And we'll be heading either towards mid or bottom lane. Smoke will be used and we'll swing towards this bottom river. I have to see if he goes towards mid or bottom. A full HP Viper with 2 points in corrosive skin. Not really a kill he can get, I feel. So it will be bottom lane. cdec.y is the ideal target on a core Leshrac, but Banana blocks the pull camp for now. I like that move, although he doesn't want to have his... About to say, he almost actually had his smoke get popped there, which would have been a bad outcome, but the fissure now comes in from the side, doesn't get the full block, but with the slow from the Lich, we should see cdec.y go down, but the TP from the IO may be enough. Can he get here in time for the tether? He will. The charge from LAN-M turns it around. There's going to be a lightning into a split earth. cdec.y, stay away. Watch the quills. The quills not going to be enough to bring down Leshrac. LAN-M's got one. He's looking for a second. Tule turns and fights. One more quills. Not quite enough damage. Tule goes down. Leshrac with a double kill for his team. He only got one of the 2 kills. It was the Kaka TP rotation, turning things around. EHOME with a nice start to this game, all off of the IOTP. He saves the day, and also maybe rushing things a little bit. Earthshaker should have probably waited to go for the full fissure block. He used the fissure, placed it correctly, but didn't get close enough to the trees to get the full block off. If you got the block there, kept him on the north side, it would have been an easy, straightforward kill. EHOME not done here at bottom. Charge comes forward. cdec.y, split earth. Actually goes for Chizbug. He was not expecting that. Whoa. cdec.y, mind gaming. Newbee there. Very much looked like a stun that was about to hit the Bristleback, but he says, oh, I've got someone else I can go. Another tether out. Kaka says, take me home. And Willie gets freed. Newbee still on the back foot here in this bottom lane. cdec.y with constant mana now with the Arcane Boots. He can tether, get himself a tether, and then just pop him for the double Arcanes if he needs to. IO, no HP regen left. Looks like we'll be forced back home. Moo getting lightning stormed up. Could see a tether forward. LAN-M charge there, but there's no split earth in range. IO actually suicides to the neutral. Looks like LAN-M now looking to juke this one. Gets stunned a few times. Pops his wand charges, trying to move his way out of there, but the empowering haste not going to be enough. Not with Moo having extra attack speed and movement speed. Hello. What? How do you get solo killed as a Queen of Pain? How does that happen? I don't know. Well, it happened. He's got to live with himself, and we'll maybe have to go back and check the replay to see exactly how that happened, but that was happening simultaneously to all the action here at bottom lane. Things were looking good for Newbee. Sorry, things were looking bad for Newbee, and now it's looking even worse with the Queen of Pain getting solo killed in the EHOME off lane, their safe lane. One lane they were not expecting to lose. I mean, they weren't also expecting Queen of Pain to farm great against the dual lane of IO Undying, but IO's been bottom for quite some time now. Seeing Kaka head back towards the bottom lane. Just on level 4 Bristleback, they can really put a lot of pressure on him. Top lane though, Shaker rotates in. Hao's going to be a bit careful. 3 Decay, 2 Sorb. Okay, this makes a bit more sense now. No Tombstone build against the Queen of Pain. This is actually a really strong way to lane things here. 11 out of mana. No Arcane Boots. He was 2 seconds short, and Hao gets some revenge for the earlier kill on himself. If he managed to mana himself up, that could have been a very different story. Here comes the Viper, gets fissured. How is a blink in a couple of seconds? Blinks back. Oh no! How? He didn't have vision of the Viper, and unfortunately blinked right into him. He expected the Viper to like chase on through, and he thought he was juking the Viper, but Viper just held his ground. He didn't actually chase Hao into the trees. Oh man. Not the start that Hal was looking for on this Queen of Pain in the safe lane. Did buy some treads, it looks like, before he went down. Not sure if he actually lost much money there, but for now, EHOME find themselves off to an early lead here. The Viper just been passively farming the mid lane until that rotation towards top, and the rotation finds a big kill. Moo at mid. Needs to be careful. The Flesh Golem with a charge, and that's going to be a straightforward kill onto Lina. EHOME up 6 kills to 3 early here in game number 1. Very aggressive play coming out from them. Leshrac slightly left alone here at the bottom lane. Kaka already looking to return, though, and make amends for that. Leshrac still doing just fine. Has a Soul Ring recipe. We'll be looking for what I imagine will be a Bloodstone this game. And whoa! I was about to say, Orb of Venom at this stage on a Leshrac does not seem like the item you're going to go for. Split Earth will not land on Tule. That hits. That's a kill. Lanham going to take over the offline. It looks like they want to give some priority to the Spirit Breaker and getting his level 6. Already a level 6 Undying. This 0-2 build has just worked wonders. I really feel it's been solid this game. It does mean you won't have the Tombstone for when you want to try and 5-man push with the mech. He's going to go back for it, I can only imagine. But at earliest, you have what? Max Tombstone by level 10? I don't know if he'll get a 4th point in Decay. We'll find out soon. Hasn't skilled anything just yet. He does get the max Decay, so a very short cooldown in this Decay. Nice against the Bristleback for sure, who's very reliant on his HP pool and his strength. Moo look to rotate in. The Fissure comes out, but the tether over the trees. Io will survive. More wasted time and failed Newbee initiation. Top lane, Lanham brought down by a house. Sonic Wave Scream. Well executed from the Queen of Pain, but it's mid lane where the real fight will break out. Too late, Viper Strike Decay, and that's at level 4 Decay. He's probably thinking, like, how the hell is he still spamming Decays? That max out spell has a 4-second cooldown. And by the way, cdec.y now gets his killing spree. 3 kills in 8.5 minutes. Can pick up a Soul Ring here. Doesn't have any HP regen, so to speak of, in this lane. And Io, no level 6 yet. You almost want to get a level 6 in. I mean, it sounds kind of silly, but you could even consider like relocating the 2 heroes back to base just to heal up and then kind of reset. Unless you feel like you want to save the relocate for a gank opportunity, but cdec.y very low on HP, and Kaka will get level 6 off of this. Although I don't think he'll actually have mana to use the relocate. Maybe going to farm another stack here as well. There you go. He Soul Rings, and Kaka will tank it up, and they'll farm this one. So just trying to maximize their efficiency here, and Kaka does now have level 6. Looks like they'll just tether themselves back to base and may look for a relocate after that. This way, they can save the relocate, heal up, and then find an opening somewhere on the map. Tuss still going for this 4-2-0 build. Something very different, but really shows that Dota is not set in stone. Even a hero that's been a top pick in the metagame for a long time, there's many different ways you can play it. We've seen support Undyings go for this max Soul Rip build. I've seen Soul Rip leveled over Tombstone. I've seen like 1-4-1 builds out of support Undyings where they go 1-4-1, then they max Tombstone. It really feels like you don't have to max Tombstone as early anymore. Only now does he get his first point at level 8. And the Viper mech not there yet, so not to say it should be there, but very much the Viper mech is when you're grouping up as 5. So knowing that they're not grouping as 5 as much, he says, look, I can just dominate my lane, find some kills, actually gank a bit with the max Decay. And it's working out so far so well. Helped him get a big laning stage advantage over the Hao Queen of Pain. The Newbee, they are now on the back foot here in the early game. cdec.y just power farming up the jungle. We'll have a point booster, it looks like, fairly soon to work towards what will be the first item, Bloodstone, I can only imagine. Maybe a bit vulnerable here at the top lane, but they have got the +2. You've always got to remember, if you're a Newbee and you see these 2 heroes, you're going to go in. Watch out for that relocate. Sonic Wave! Whoa-oh! How even blink forward aggressively for this one. There comes the relocate. How could be on the receiving end of this one if he's not careful. It looks like they'll go for Banana instead. Chain Frost going to bounce around. Not too great. Nice Soul Rip keeps Kaka alive, but he's going to go down regardless. Leshrac, meanwhile, in trouble. Moo will finish him off with a Laguna Blade, and that's where you lose your transportation. You're in trouble. 11 now, going to die to 1 more Quill, it looks like. Actually, the Lina from the high ground getting the kill. A double kill for Moo. They lose the Spirit Breaker as well to the Quap in lane. 4 for nothing. Great turnaround. Newbee, they strike back. Only lose a tier 1 mid tower, which the Viper took. And one of the big weaknesses of the Viper showing itself. Not a hero that can move around the map very well. You can't... I mean, it's not like Lina moves around any better, but if Lina moves, you're more likely guaranteed a kill because you've got such high burst damage. If you're a Viper and you go ganking, you rotate to another lane, heroes can just TP out from you. They see you coming. There's no real, like, oh gosh, I'm screwed. A Viper's on me. It's like, oh, I'll just TP out or I'll just run away. With a Lina, if you get caught out or you get anywhere near the burst damage of the Laguna Dragon Slave, you're just instantly dead. So the Lina rotation, a lot scarier. And the other big thing to have that fight was not just the Lina, but the Chain Frost from Chizbug. Doing a lot of damage. It didn't bounce as much as he would have hoped for, but it was still enough for him to come out on top of that fight. So pause coming from Viper. After that, though, things probably looking a lot more even. Almost a 2,000 gold swing as EHOME throw away a lot of their early game lead here. It looked good for them. I think the relocate had to come sooner. That was the big thing. The fissure and the blink in from the Queen of Pain should have been immediately met by a relocate, and then it would have been better. They could have caught the Queen of Pain out. Instead, Queen of Pain managed to get around back to safety behind the trees. Not to mention the Shaker. Like, if they relocate right away, the Fissure's still on cooldown. The Fissure actually comes back up if they're not fast enough there, even with the 15-second cooldown. So we'll see both teams ready to go, and 8 kills apiece, 12 minutes in. It is still Viper topping the farm here, and EHOME still in a good position to group up as 5, take objectives. No Edict on the Leshrac, going for that classic 6.84 Leshrac build. See him focus more on the farm rather than the tower sieging for now. Point booster required, and not invulnerable by any means. We saw last fight, he's still seeing on sub 1k HP. If he takes even just the one Chain Frost bounce and then the Lina with a Dragon Slave Laguna, you will see cdec.y fall. Chicken now just sieging this top lane, but that's not where EHOME are headed. They smoke up Spirit Breaker and Undying, and those two are actually headed mid. Looking to back up the IO Leshrac here. cdec.y shows himself. At this point, you're Newbee. It's like you see Leshrac mid, Viper top, and you're thinking, which of these two is actually alone? Where is the rest of the EHOME team? Do we go on the cdec.y Leshrac? Do we go on the Viper? The Viper, the much riskier choice. It looks like they're going to give up the top tower and not go on the Leshrac. And now, EHOME in position to defend bottom. Too late. Get Viper striked up. LANM sells Nether Strike, so there's no TPing away from this one. The Chain Frost still bouncing, and that's going to be the death of Kaka. Old Chicken taking a lot of damage as well, but that's Corrosive Skin blocking a lot of the damage output. They're going to Nether Strike the Lich to get that kill, and Newbee on full retreat. All they need is Vision for another charge, and they're very close to getting it, but if you do go for it, a Fissure into LSA could spell your demise. So LANM plays it safe, doesn't go for it. They just look to settle down, back off a little bit. Old Chicken now with an Ogre Club on Courier, so he's going to just look to continue to tank up, and EHOME kind of make amends for that last poor fight with a much better relocate this time around. Dire Vision does scout out EHOME, bringing in their entire 5-man lineup to this one. They are still suffering from having just level 1 Tombstone here. Something to keep in mind. Undying not exactly getting much in the way of levels since we're past the lane stage and kind of entering that stage where teams are grouping up more and try and farm alone as an Undying. You are going to get picked off and killed. Charge cancelled from LANM. Wonder if that's something that Newbee did see the initial charge coming out, so they pieced together where LANM is. That could be potential vulnerability, but it's How in mid lane. He's getting charged up now. Leshrac nearby. Nether Strike on cooldown still. How gets the blink out, making sure he's not in range for a split earth, but they're still chasing this one down. 5 seconds for a Nether Strike. The blink will come up after that, it looks like. Leshrac is nearby. LANM. Does he turn? Doesn't go for the Nether Strike. It looked like Leshrac was just out of range for him to be able to make that play. Instead, it's going to be bottom lane where Viper again just sieging down towers. Old Chicken's already taken 2 tier 1s, and he's looking for a third. Getting very scary on this Viper. I saw a Viper yesterday, and this hero just has proven that it doesn't necessarily fall off. You get enough kills and do what you need to do. You can be that big late game carry core Viper as well. So the mid we go. We also, I think it was, yeah, Shiki and cdec do it played earlier today, where he ended up with like 15 kills and like the highest net worth by the end of the game in like a 45-minute game. Viper very much did not just fall off like a traditional Viper might. Relocate in top, too late. Has been caught out. LANM found him with the charge. Has a Nether Strike, which he's holding on to just for the TP. And it looks like he just doesn't want to use it at all. LANM actually got very low there. Cut that one close. Bottom lane now. Fight breaks out because of that relocate. They come back in. Chain Frost is waiting for them. Old Chicken, though, Doesn't take too much damage. The corrosive skin, he may be able to turn and fight. All he needs is a little backup, but Spirit Breaker too low in HP. Quap gets the Spirit Breaker off to the side, and Old Chicken now ditched. Echo Slam, Dragon Slave. He goes down. You may be able to block and reduce that magic damage, but boy, is there a lot more of it. You just keep taking nuke after nuke after nuke. And they have to use a lot to kill you, but they'll make sure they bring you down. And Newbee now take the kill advantage, 13 to 11. Looking at the overall farm, though, we're still seeing a slight EHOME favored game, although I imagine that swing may start dropping even further once it updates. And nice turnaround. No longer the scary Viper that it once was. How actually caught up. Almost has a completed Orchid now. Just one creep wave away, and should be able to find that here at the mid lane. Looks like that's exactly what's going to happen here. So Hal will back off, back to base, complete the Orchid, and then you complete a big core item like this. You've also got a Yules on Lena. I feel like Newbee want to go for some smokes. It's definitely the time for the captain to say, guys, it's time, let's go. We've got no mech, unfortunately, I guess. So maybe he's going to be looking at Tule and saying, okay, complete your mech, and then let's make a play. But EHOME, knowing these Ancients have been stacked up, I believe, coming in, looking to contest this one. Great fissure. Blocks off 3, and Lanham actually kind of ditched by himself here on the other side of it, but Newbee don't have the numbers, don't have the Sonic Wave, most importantly, to try and come in and contest this one. We'll have to see if they do anything about the Ancients being stolen here. It looks like they may stay around in the neighborhood. Banana has another fissure here. cdec.y taking a fair bit of damage. It's Old Chicken, though, on the high ground, and 11 in a really nice little spot. Able to secure the Ancient Steel and delay the mech for 2 layers. Talking about the smoke timing, they want to have the Yules as well as Orchid, and ideally the mech. So this smoke may get delayed, and Newbee may miss a little opening window to make something happen as a result. Or they may just decide, let's just go for something with Lena and Quap and let the Bristleback continue to farm. Not really a time where they can go for a smoke, though. Hal getting charged up. Relocate is there. Nether Strike will follow. He's getting chained up. Leshrac stun hits perfectly. Hal gets chain stunned to his own death. A well-executed game coming out from EHOME. And then they relocate back mid. So Leshrac doesn't miss a beat. Gets a Bloodstone charge off of it. Not only a Bloodstone, but a completed Yule's Scepter very, very soon. About 300 gold short right now. Where is the next charge? It's coming bottom on the Bristleback. This time, though, there will be a mech if the courier can arrive in time. And more importantly, no relocate, but 4 or 5 heroes swarming towards bottom lane. Tule suddenly realized what's going on, and he's like, oh, crap. Does he go for the TP? He might. There's no Nether Strike. He's got TP back. It looks like Newbee may try and fight this one, but here comes 11. Tombstone gets dropped. The slow out onto Moo. They're going to blow up the Spirit Breaker to start things off here. cdec.y will get at least 1 kill. Question is, can Moo get anything more? Mech out of Old Chicken. The Tombstone gets dealt with. Moo needs to be careful. Another Decay. Gets him low. 50 HP. Boy, did he cut that one close. And EHOME may just be able to claim this bottom tier 1 tower now. The Ice Armor will delay things a little bit and make it a bit annoying with the attack speed slow and the movement speed slow, but still a tier 1 tower claim. Leshrac with the last hit even, so Yule's Scepter back at base waiting for him. Spirit Breaker may go for another charge on Hal. You've got to be very wary of this one. Kaka's ready with a relocate. You can't hide from this, Hal. You want to blink back, they'll chase you. He just blinked. You almost want to relocate where he blinked to, but it looks like they're not going to make such a risky play near a tier 2 tower. They'll cancel the charge since Lanham was scattered by a creep wave, but worth a shot there. Town will blink himself towards top, and we may even see another charge as soon as Lanham gets vision of this. Does need to kind of clear out this mid creep wave a bit first so he doesn't get scouted doing just so. EHOME here in game 1. Finding themselves recovering back to a pretty good position with how farm cdec.y is on this Leshrac. And there's the Yule's Scepter. Having his Yule's Scepter brought out, and he's already farmed another 1,000 gold. Part of that was the courier in use, but it's like, oh, he's just picked up a Yule's. And it's like, not just a Yule's. He could have a Boots of Travel. He can work in a BKB. Like, definitely looking at a pretty good BKB game against the Shaker, the Lena. I mean, Lena with Ags and Quap Sonic Wave does go through, but there's so many stuns, annoying spells to deal with. A lot of damage output coming into play, and whoa, Undying actually starting to level up Soul Rip here. 4-4-1. I've seen all kinds of weird Undying builds, but this is a first for this. The Midas pickup also going to ensure some item progression going into the late game, so if he wants to go for that new Aghanims upgrade for the Decay, he can do so. And even if you're just going for your standard Glimmer Cape into... Well, I guess he's not going to go for the Guardian Greaves with Mech already being purchased by Viper. Even if you're just going for normal Undying items, not the Ag Scepter, the Midas still helps you secure those levels you need. And he does need the levels more than he'd normally need because he hasn't even got points into the Tombstone just yet. Something... It was Winter actually talked a bit about, like, I've had discussions with him about that with the new Tombstone. It doesn't really feel like Undying's a lot weaker. His Tombstone in the early game isn't quite as powerful, but in the late game, Tombstone is as good as ever. I mean, it's a spell that just naturally fell off in the late game because the zombies don't hit as hard. They're just kind of annoying. They tickle a bit, but when heroes start having huge base damage and start two-shotting a Tombstone or three-shotting it, it no longer matters. Their base damage isn't taken into account when you go for a Tombstone kill. Delta split. Not the neutrals, not the neutrals. And then we'll take the last shot and then it'll stop its bounces. But yeah, so late game Tombstone, it's going to take 7 right clicks regardless. So regardless of how hard you right click, you've got to right click it 7 times. So very much in the ultra late game, well, not even the ultra late game, just late game in general, this spell gets better and better. Yeah, there's more attack speed on heroes, but in general, it's like attack speed combined with the just damage that carries will start doing that make the Tombstone really weak in the late game in 6.84 before this new Tombstone was implemented. So I don't mind seeing a slightly different build coming out from Undying. Newbee now very much have a Leshrac problem. Lesh Undying. Seriously, this is very 6.84 like. And now it looks like it's going to be an Octarine core for Leshrac with a point boost to pick up. Don't feel like Ag Scepter is particularly strong on Leshrac. Just increased damage per level. And the damage increase isn't even... I mean, it's solid, but it's not a massive change. So if you're getting the Ag Scepter, it's like, okay, a bit more damage and it's good stats, but you get the same HP stats that you do from an Ag Scepter from an Octarine core. And what Octarine core gives you with the lifesteal, as well as the fact that all your spells cooldown get reduced, is so much better. You've got a shorter cooldown on your stun, your lightning, your edict. Everything gets reduced. So with 3 spells, active spells that you can reduce the cooldown on, very much the Octarine core is always the better choice than an Ag Scepter. I don't see any scenario where you'd go for an Ags over an Octarine core. I mean, Octarine's more expensive, but you can buy a Soul Booster, and then you've got the same stats as an Ag Scepter has, and you're transitioning into the Octarine core. So very much just buy a Soul Booster, don't go for an Octarine core, don't go for an Aghanim Scepter, and then you've just got to farm a little bit more to get to that final item, which is a bit more expensive, but we'll see him still a bit of a ways away from that item. We'll start getting very tanky with his H-Pool really boosting up as he gets more and more items. Okay, as I say, he's far away. He has a complete Soul Booster, so still, I mean, 2k to go, but this Leshrac will farm that in no time. 12k plus net worth, and there's a lot of farm on CTY. Does have 10 Bloodstone charges still. Hasn't been able to completely snowball out of control as far as finding the charges go, and, well, too late. We walk into a smoke gank here. 3 heroes are going to relocate just to be on the safe side. They want to bring in all 5. They don't know how many heroes Newbee had. The initial thought is always like, are they heroes 5? Is this going to be a disaster for us? And Newbee actually looking to counterplay this one. They're in a 4v5 scenario. Relocate back top by Io, but they left the relocate target. Old Chicken takes a huge amount of damage. That's the Aghanim's Laguna Blade coming into play. Sonic Wave still available. And it looks like Queen of Pain will get a nice blink. Catches out 2, but Leshrac's still full HP. Kaka's now rotated into Chain Frost. Bouncing a little bit, but not enough. CTY still scary. Has a Yule Scepter. Will get it onto the Lina here. How? No Orchid. Cannot stop the stun. Moo gonna go down here. He's got no Suicide. Doesn't have a Bloodstone. And it's a triple kill for CTY. I talked about how he didn't have Bloodstone charges. Now he does. Adds 4 to the tally. 14 of them. And practically has the Octarine core now. Just needs like another creep wave or 2. Or get to this tower. And too late. Don't get too close to this. Yule Scepter could set up a stun, although it does look like Newbee have enough heroes back alive now that it may not be a kill they want to go on, considering how tanky a Bristleback is. And yeah, we will see Leshrac back off. Just use the Edict on the tower. Tried to maybe sneak it in, but won't find it. And tower now, deny range. It looks like Banana will hit it once, probably deciding. It's still got 140 HP. It's still healthy-ish. And it's a, like, if your opponents are going for Rosh and you maybe want this tower to TP to since it's a closer point to Rosh. So I think keeping this tower alive may be an option. No, Nana says no. He says, let's just make sure we get the deny. And we've still got a tier 2 bottom. So as far as Rosh towers go, the tier 2 bottom going to be the closer option. CTY though, there's the money he needed for the Octarine core. A lot of farm to his name. Old Chicken's BKB complete. His Viper is not as scary as the Viper we saw earlier today. He has dropped off from the top of the net worth chart. Spirit Breaker charging in. He's going to hit too late once and then back off. Doesn't want to fully commit. Alina Yules could have stopped him in his tracks and then possibly be used to set up a good team fight for Newbee. And there we go. Courier in use. CTY. Mystic Staff will complete the Octarine. Well, if Leshrac wasn't a problem before, he becomes one now. And I think he was a problem before. He's just going to become a massive problem now. He's gone from pain in the ass tier 2. Huge freaking problem. Well, bottom tier 2 tower. Not sure how easily you can defend this. 11's just going to drop a tombstone in a kind of awkward position to take out. It's now a level 3 tombstone. Just the one value point into the flesh golem. And there we go. Tier 2 tower uncontested. Too late, just on the front lines. Not really a hero that EHOME want to try and engage on. EHOME ping backwards there. Actually, will rotate CTY top. How's going to be a bit careful here. Could have maybe had a charge on himself, which would have set up some vision for CTY to go charging in to look for that Yules. But How, I think recognizing that, just TPs the hell out of there as soon as possible. Has got a BKB now. Lane 11, getting initiated on Laguna. Dragon Slave gets a kill. Very much the spell for Newbee as we go into the late game is going to be this Laguna Blade. The pure damage against the magic resistance of Glimmer Capes, against the magic resistance of the Corrosive Skin, the BKBs. This is going to be the item. And like when Viper sees this, you're thinking, okay, I just need more raw HP. You either go for something like a Heart of Tarrasque, or you go for an Aghanim Scepter. You just need as much in the way of survivability as possible. And I feel like if anything, EHOME don't want to be stacking too many Glimmer Capes. It looks like they'll get one on Kaka. LAN-M, I think, is better off going for his Shadow Blade, just because Glimmer Capes are not going to help against the pure damage so much. Kaka caught out, stun comes out, Dragon Slave will die to the Orchid damage. Not sure about that Sonic Wave, Hal. Still a kill going the way of Newbee. 18 kills apiece, and I'm into that late game stage soon. It's a 5,000 gold lead going EHOME's way right now. Old Chicken looking to just scout out, make sure Newbee haven't got any massive stacks going for the Bristleback. Just the one stack for now. But EHOME themselves with some stacks of their own if they want to try and farm that a bit later. CTY Plate Mail already picked up, so we'll see a Shiva's Guard, I think, likely picked up. Too late being caught, going for that very stack, or at least trying to stack it up, and will feed another Bloodstone charge for CTY. This has not been his game on the Bristleback, and I feel like the hero was largely picked up expecting an IO Tiny, and maybe a hero that they weren't planning on putting on Tule's hands, because he does not feel comfortable at all playing the Bristleback, and we have not seen Newbee run this offlane Bristleback at all, so feels like something which Newbee had to draft around when they didn't want to draft around. Didn't quite fit it into their lineup all too nicely. Shizbug on the Lich, who paired up with him in the offlane, at least had an okay laning stage, but for as the Ice Armor goes, this is all like a magic damage lineup. Leshrac is the main source of damage, and it's coming from the source of magic. EHOME in 11 in this enemy jungle here. One ward down, but also getting scouted out, I believe, by a Newbee Observe ward up there. Very defensive ward, but I think recognizing that EHOME are searching for kills continuously with this Spirit Breaker charge. Now gets scouted out, charge come in. Gets the blink out to the side, possible relocate coming. There we go, relocate's ready, Nether Strike is available. To the left, it's going to be a Viper Strike, and Shizbug easily brought down. So a 10-second BKB forced out and the Lich kill. Good relocate. With the pace this game's going, using a relocate just to force a Queen of Pain BKB blink escape, it's going to be worth it. When you You've got a BKB just to dodge that relocate gang. Newbee are not thinking that was particularly efficient or worthwhile play for them. Now they've got to worry about Roche. Has Viper picked up the second Yasha, so I talked about tanking up against the Ags Laguna Blade. I guess either SMY or Manta style gives you some hit points, so not a bad option. And Manta gives you options to make it harder to cast, and if you're going to go really next level, you can try and dodge it. With the perfect Manta timing, you can actually dodge the damage output from a Laguna Blade, but it's like a 0.1 second window where you've got to click it at the exact right time. So by no means something you can rely on or expect to have happen. But more importantly, you just maybe want to pop it early on in the fight and then make it hard for him to know the real one to Laguna down. Charge in top, they put another relocate ready. Looks like Howard really wants to go for this tower. The charge will be cancelled. LNM trapping himself in some trees here, unfortunately. Whoopsie daisy. The blink escape will happen. I think LNM recognizing that just a few too many heroes. He's been very disciplined with these charges, showing his veteranship as far as the EHOME squad is concerned. More than happy to cancel charges as needed. cdec.y picks up boots and travel, will continue to farm on the left track. Still out farming House Queen of Pain, who's picked up a plate mail, and looks like it will be an AC build coming out from Queen, looking to amplify their physical damage, help out the Bristleback as well, who's not farming an AC anytime soon, but will benefit from the Queen of Pain's one. Decent physical damage output from him, and I think just wanting to diversify their late game damage output. The EHOME swoop on in, steal some neutrals away from the Bristleback. Too late, just getting bullied constantly this game. He can't go anywhere without getting ganked, relocated on, his neutral stolen. EHOME just do not want to give him a scrap to feed upon. So we head towards the late game, and this is where Undying, the Midas, likely to pay off. As the charge comes out, relocate, Hal will blink back, he may be forced to BKB, does do so. Nether Strike could be used as well, but this is a long duration BKB, so Leshrac won't be in position for the split out. Here we go, Laguna Blade, they kill off the Spirit Breaker. They relocate out of there. 11, maybe in some trouble. Could Glimmer TP? Does do so. He's been caught out. Do they know this? They will in a second. 11 now reveals himself. Really sick anticipation there from Moo, and they'll get a second kill. That 6th sense. Moo turns it around at bottom lane. The charge is on the how. If they lost just the Spirit Breaker there, I think it's a fine trade for EHOME. A 9-second BKB for your Spirit Breaker. With the pace this game is going, it's a hero that you don't really mind losing, and a BKB that's very precious for the Newbee team. So that would be an okay trade, but losing the second kill as well, and that's Undying, who lost a decent chunk of gold. It was unreliable gold that he's been piling up. He's trying to farm some late game items, so getting the two for BKB trade doesn't feel as worth it for EHOME. Ideally, they would just want to force out the BKB and be on their way, but even trading one life wouldn't have been too bad. I haven't talked about this pickup yet, but Earthshaker does have a Blink Dagger now, so getting some teamfight presence and playmaking capabilities of his own. Only about 2 minutes left on this Aegis. It seems cdec.y wants to at least threaten the high ground. This is stun on Moo as he gets stunned up himself, and both teams look to flirt around with one another here around the Newbee base. Bristleback making a good front liner, turning that big googly-eyed back of his towards EHOME. cdec.y again though, waiting for another creep wave. The lean and nuke will take most of it out though. I don't know if cdec.y really wants to go on the high ground too much. Gets healed up once. Edict. Well, there's no glitch, but cdec.y just taking huge damage. He could just lose his Aegis just to a couple of nukes here if he's not careful. Viper did end up going for an SMY. The Tombstone on the low ground will get taken out. Moo pops a BKB. Be careful about that one. It is 10 seconds, but didn't really accomplish all too much there. I'm not sure if that was what he was trying to do. Maybe wanted to use a Yule Scepter when he accidentally BKB'd. Whatever it was. We'll now see the high ground push continue. Aegis still in hand for Leshrac. It can come out in just a second here. They blow up the Viper. That burst damage. Sonic Wave Laguna. That is why I suggested the Heart of Tarrasque. Pure damage, burst damage. Queen of Pain Sonic Wave. Aghanim's Laguna Blade. And this Viper just does not have the HP pool to survive it. That was insane. Just need to get... A Heart of Tarrasque is really the only thing I see being able to help you against that. Aghanim Scepter's some HP, but nowhere near what a Heart of Tarrasque can bring to the table. How? Oh, fast reactions from him. Gets the fast BKB off. Now the Blink, Echo, counter initiation, CTY mate. He goes down once. He's got the Aegis. Where's the backup? Io has a relocate. May just look for the save, but he's been caught up by the Orchid. Meanwhile, CTY still very healthy here. He's going to likely look to fight his way out of this one. Too-Lay on the front lines with a BKB of his own. Where's Moose? His is up back in 2 seconds. He's going to need it. Moose going to go down before his BKB is available. Tombstone taken out by Too-Lay. Queen of Pain, Yule stunned up. How? I don't believe had his BKB. He used it early in the fight, and now they're going to lose the Queen of Pain. CTY putting the Aegis to good use. Has a double kill. Could turn it into a triple. Just needs the last hit. Too-Lay's going down one way or another. It's going to go to the Io. 4 dead on the side of Newbee. 0 buybacks. Hello, high ground. EHOME. Win a big one. No Echo Slam available as well. A lot of the big ultimates aren't going to be here. Lich Chain Frost will be. With the Glyph on cooldown, this could even be 2 lanes of racks. Both Lina and Queen of Pain still dead for a good duration. They likely just get the melee racks and then head bottom. I'm surprised they're even attacking the range one. I feel like this is the time. Take the melee, go for mid. And that's exactly what CTY does with Old Chicken. The rest of the team need to get on the same page. It looks like LanM just wants to get the money for his team. As well as, I mean, you take a range Rex, they do matter. But his team will focus the more important lane, which is going to be the mid, tier 3, and melee racks. Looks like this will go undefended. Lina still dead for 3 more seconds. Echo Slam still on cooldown for 40 more seconds. CTY actually sets up a Yule Scepter, but decides, it's a bit too deep. So they'll complete the mid-rat lane as well. Doesn't look like they dare head bottom. That's really the one way you can throw away some of the huge lead you've just got. You go for bottom, you get taken out. Queen of Pain respawns. Lina hits you with a BKB, Yule's combo, yada yada. So they say, let's just play it safe, back off. We can get map control, wait for a pickoff, use our smokes, wait for Roshan even if they want. Well, speaking of some of the item pickups available, going to be the Io who's going for a Heart of Tarrasque with a Reaver pickup. So just knowing he needs HP and survivability. Old Chicken really felt like the Heart was going to be the item for him, but he's picked up an Ultimate Orb. Still his stats and survivability. Wonder what this will be. Possibly a Lincoln Sphere against, like, hoping to block something like the Laguna Blade. Even a Yule Scepter, which is often used to set up the stun combo. Be a nice way to make use of the item, but still feel like Heart of Tarrasque would have been the ideal item choice this game, considering how much damage there is that bypasses the corrosive skin. Well, EHOME with 4 racks claimed. Here we go. It was, I mean, this was another game, much like the last best of 3. Very close games. It was only a 5,000 gold lead at like 35 minutes, and then suddenly, one team fight, boom, you've just lost your base. And being down 4 racks at this stage is very hard to turn around. Newbee are going to have to bide their time, wait for openings, wait for heroes to be out of position, or for EHOME to get a bit too cocky going for a high ground push, but EHOME so far showing discipline. 11's Undying, picked up a 4-staff it looks like, and also a Rod of Atos now. Wanting to have that ability to kite around the Bristleback especially. With his BKB, still on 9 seconds, he does have the ability to at least be magic immune for a decent amount of time, but the Atos can be an annoying item. Even for someone like a Lina, losing all that movement speed that you get from the Fiery Souls for an Undying Atos. It's a 60% move speed slow. So if you're, I mean, Lina's going to be around 500 movement speed, you're just straight down to 250. You're pretty much hitting minimum movement speed whenever you're hit by an Atos. So even against ranged heroes this game, I feel like the Atos is a really nice pickup. Very much going to hurt some of these heroes and force out the BKBs, or you use it after the BKBs and then they're in trouble, so. Hearing a I saw who got, was that Bristleback? Oh, CTY? Got a Radiance? Jeez. Okay, so CTY has a Radiance. This has some synergy with his item build, so I don't know if this is the best item pickup. It's definitely a slightly gimmicky, but to talk about the synergy, it's more lifesteal with the Octarine Core, more AoE damage around him, which can just combo with everything else, the Shivers, the Pulse Nova, and it's also evasion. So Well, kind of evasion. It's a mischance that you apply, so on the AoE around you. But it's a 700 burden radiance. So 700 AoE around you, people will be missing you. So when Bristleback's trying to right-click down cty, he's got 17% evasion. On top of that, it's just more lifesteal. So cty is going to get incredibly tanky with this item pickup. You think Radiance, you're thinking damage output, farming capabilities. For cty, it's actually, in a lot of ways, survivability, as well as extra damage output. The burn damage is pretty damn nice as well. So a bit of a cheesy item, but I kind of like it, and it's something a bit different. Also, I mean, the right-click damage is pretty much not... I mean, he gets plus 65. He actually had no plus damage until he picked up Radiance. That's the crazy thing. All the plus damage came from the intel which he was getting from his items. So a bit of a different item that you wouldn't normally expect to see on a Leshrac, but it works with the Octarine core. And this Leshrac now, 20 Bloodstone charges. Not going to quite have 2 lives, I don't think, with 20 charges. You need a bit more than that, but we'll be very close. It'll be like maybe like a 15-20 second respawn time. Why now into the pit he goes, and I don't know if Newbee are really in a position to contest Roche, but at the same time, are they in a position to defend against an Aegis push? It's kind of like you pick your poison. Defend against an Aegis push, or blindly try and engage into a team taking Roshan. It looks like they're going to go for option number 2, engage into the team taking Roshan, but they've got to get here and get here fast. I don't know if they're going to make it in time. Doesn't look like it. Spirit Breaker goes on the high ground to scatter that with a Shadow Blade. He will do so soon. Detection not really available. LAN-M in the trees. They're going to fight now. cty goes charging in. It's the Viper with the Aegis, and cty is just going to be too damn tanky, it feels like, to deal with. Move BKB at least can deal with some of this damage up, but LAN-M gets the nice little bash here. No Nether Strike just yet. Blink out from Hal, but there's a Leshrac waiting for him with a Split Earth Yule's combo. They bring down Lean to start. Queen of Pain to follow. That's got to be game now. Both heroes have buyback, so maybe one last defense from Newbee. But EHOME will march forward. They won't even try and make a defense. They had 2 buybacks. They could have gone for a 5v5, but I think they recognize with Aegis quiet, EHOME had secured themselves game number 1. Talked about going into this series, it feels like a very even 50-50 series. Maybe slightly, ever so slightly, Newbee favored based on their recent form and how well they've been playing. Cruising their way through the Frankfurt major qualifiers, as well as doing really well against IG in the opening round. But it's game 1 going the way of EHOME, showing that the experienced veteran captain of LAN-M can lead his team to victory. And, well, we're going to see if Newbee can bounce back. They're down a game. This is just the winner bracket. Winner of this will verse Vici Gaming in the winner bracket finals. Best of 5 to see one team going to the Summit 4. Loser drops out of the lower bracket. There's 2 teams, one out of the winner bracket, one out of the lower bracket coming to LA, guys. Stay tuned. We're going to take a break, come back with game number 2 of Newbee versus EHOME. Don't go anywhere.
G2A.com